I think my camera program got updated. It's got a little square around my head now, like it's tracking whatever it's focusing in on. It didn't have that before, so I think it did an update. So I'm at Big Rig Products. Let me do a... That hill right there is trash. That's the dump. So far, Big Rig Products is my favorite APU place. I've only been here for like an hour. So let me go over the APU situation. Let me tell the story of the APU. You know what? Before we get to the story of the APU, let's talk about my week. It is Thursday. I've been home since late Sunday afternoon. I think I got home around 8 p.m. Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. I've been home since then. The load that I was planning on delivering Friday night, it was a huge clusterfuck. I will never ever pick up a load or deliver a load to that place again. I had to sit all weekend in Tulsa. They would not accept the load until Sunday afternoon. The appointment time whenever you have a load that's listed as a drop loaded trailer, a drop and hook, the appointment is the last. You have to have it there before that. That's like the final last time you can be there. Not with this place. And there were no special instructions on this place. So it was partly the broker's the broker screwed up, and this place is just kind of a shithole. The security guards got they had a lot of attitude with me when I got there Friday night. They're like, you're not allowed, you can't deliver early. We have people try to do this all the time. You can't be here until after 4:30 on Sunday. They just got a lot of attitude with me, basically called me a worthless piece of shit and said that I knew what was going on. I knew I wasn't supposed to be there, and they claimed a whole bunch of things that I supposedly knew. A lot of attitude. It really pissed me off. They said you can come back 4:30 on Sunday, and that's it. So I sat all weekend, and I came back at 4 o'clock, and there was already a line of over a dozen trucks. I don't know exactly how many trucks were there. Over a dozen. Give you an idea of how shitty this place is. At like 4:25, a couple of the trucks at the front of the line went ahead and pulled onto their property to get in line on their property up at the gate. They waited until exactly 4:30. Every single person that pulled onto their property before 4:30 to get in line at their property, they made them leave the property and told them to go get at the back of the line behind everybody else. Now, these people were legitimately at the front of the line. They weren't like cutting in front of people. These were people that were there before me. They were at the front of the line, and they went ahead and pulled up to the gate at like 4:25. And they told them to go back to the back of the line. That's how shitty this place is. IC Corporation of Oklahoma. It's they make school buses in Tulsa. IC Corporation. It was also the building that they were out of was also called Navistar or something like that. But the actual company that the load was brokered for was IC Corporation of Oklahoma. I will never ever do business with them again. So anyway, finally got home like 8 p.m. and I've just been really bummed out all week. I usually don't do videos when I'm on home time because I don't really want to mess with it. If I get in the mood, I will, but this is mainly a trucking channel, and me sitting at home not doing anything to do with trucking, then like why do I? You guys probably don't want to see me play games because I'm not very good at it. And I've spent most of my time trying to find something to play. I downloaded Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PC. I bought it for the computer, or for the Xbox when it first came out, and I just couldn't really stand to play it with a controller. I don't like playing shooters with a controller. And the only things I really like playing on consoles are sports games, like football games and baseball games, stuff like that. Soccer. But I bought it again for PC just a few days ago, and I've been playing it a little bit. It's okay. It's not that amazing. But anyway, so now let's talk about the APU. Let's go through the history of the APU. I bought this truck about 3 months ago. Whenever I bought the truck, the sales guy told me it had a functional APU. He said that they tested it, his shop looked at it, and it was working, it was good, the heater worked, the air conditioner worked, everything about it worked great. When I get there to buy the damn thing, we can't get the APU to start. After about 10 or 15 minutes, it finally starts. It's not pretty, but it starts. And we only let it run for like 30 seconds, and then he shut it off. I'm like, okay, well, he said that he recommended that I not run it until I get a PM on it because it's been sitting there for so long. And he said he thinks it's been a long time since it had a PM. Bunch of red flags popping up already. But anyway, I tried running it like the next day or a couple days later or something. And it would overheat and shut off and smoke real bad after like 3 hours. So I said, okay, I'm not going to run it anymore until I get a PM done on it. Until I get, an APU person to look at it. So I just stopped using the APU. I ran it for a total of like that 30 seconds whenever he showed me that it worked when I bought the truck. And then like 3 hours a day or two later. And then I didn't run it again until I took it into an APU repair place. So I took it to APU Center in Stratford, Missouri. And they said that they couldn't believe that it ran for 3 hours. They said that your coolant valves are shut off, so there was no coolant circulating. I don't even know if there was coolant in the water pump. And he said that my water pump wasn't working properly. So they replaced the water pump, and they did a preventative maintenance on it. And I think that's about all they did. And they charged me a lot of money to do that. Not too thrilled with them. But they got it up and running. I can say that for them. It ran great for about 2 weeks. And then it started overheating again. So I took it back to APU Center and I said, I think the water pump you just installed isn't working anymore. And they said, oh, okay. Well, no, I didn't tell them that I thought the water pump. So I told them what was happening. And I wanted to see if they would come back to me and say the water pump needed to be replaced. And I'd be like, oh, that's great. It's under warranty. Well, within a couple of minutes of me parking it in the bay, the tech came in there and said, I saw that water pump looked new. And I ran and I checked your information in our system. And I see that we're the ones who replaced that water pump. So, and he just kind of left it at that. And from that point onward, he didn't want to talk about the water pump. Once he found out, like initially, I'm guessing he suspected this was a water pump problem. And then, as soon as he found out that was a water pump that they installed that was under warranty, he stopped right there. But he charged me $90 to just let the APU run for an hour. That's all he did, was let the APU run for an hour. He didn't go in there and check temperatures. He didn't run any tests, no diagnostics, no nothing. He just let it run for an hour to see if it would overheat, and it didn't overheat. And I told him it takes like an hour minimum for it to overheat. But anyway, he told me it was working perfectly fine, so I left. And it overheated again that night, and I stopped using it again until I got back to Oklahoma City, and I took it into W&B, an authorized dealer here in town, and I told them everything that was happening with it, and I said, I think it's a water pump. And they went in and replaced an over temperature sensor and a gasket. And I'm like, I don't see how that's going to fix an overheating issue. If it was like a superficial issue, like it wasn't actually overheating, it was just a bad sensor that was triggering an overheat and shutting it off, then yeah, I can understand that sensor fixing the problem. But that's not what's happening. This thing's like smoking and shit. it's it's actually fucking overheating. So they charged me $600 to replace that gasket and that temperature sensor. And I'm not going back there again. It overheated on me that day, or that night when I used it. So then I had to wait until I made it back to town again. So I've been without an APU for like 2 months because of these issues. My APU has worked a total of about 2 weeks since I've had this truck. So I got here to Big Rig Products, another APU repair place in Oklahoma City. And I would have gone to them the first time, but they were booked out like a week. You had to schedule like a week in advance, which is something that's really hard to do as a truck driver. I would guess that they basically only get locals here or something if you have to schedule out that far in advance. But anyway, just sitting there chatting with the people here. I tossed some ideas at them on parts that I wanted replaced and everything, and they agreed with me on all the parts that I said, and we were looking at it. Okay, so what basically what I told them was, I said, number one, I want the cutoff valves replaced because they're both leaking. I said because we've been turning the valves on and off so often with these issues, now with them fully opened or fully closed, they leak a little bit. So I said they need to be replaced, but I don't think that they're the cause of the overheating issue. I said maybe if they're restricting the coolant flow, that might have something to do with it. But they're like, nah, it's highly unlikely. But I wanted those replaced anyway. And I said another thing is the belt, the fan belt. I said, I think that thing's loose. I want it replaced. And he felt the fan belt and he said, oh yeah, that's loose. So the fan belt, if I understand how it works properly, it not only controls the fan, but I think it also controls the water pump. So it would be a twofold issue if the fan belt is loose. The fan wouldn't be spinning at the appropriate speed, so it would not be cooling the engine off as much, and the water pump wouldn't be pumping as much water because it wouldn't be spinning at the appropriate speed. So the fan belt could cause it to run hotter than it should, but I just can't understand. I don't think that's enough to cause the overheating. But we're replacing the fan belt. He agreed with the cutoff valves and the fan belt. And I said, I think the water pump needs to be replaced. I said, everybody keeps avoiding replacing the water pump because it's a brand new water pump. This thing is, it's had 200 hours on it since that water pump was replaced. And nobody wants to replace that water pump because it's brand new. He looked at it and he could see where coolant was coming out of it. He said it's not supposed to do that. He said he agreed with me and said he thinks the water pump needs to be replaced. And then he said, has anybody ever replaced your thermostat? And I said, no. I said, why would they need to? What does the thermostat do? And he said the thermostat controls basically when water pumps, the coolant pumps through. He said that it basically opens and closes a valve to let coolant flow through. I was like, wow, that would explain why this is such an intermittent issue. Like maybe this is kind of an intermittent issue. It'll overheat 100% of the time, but sometimes it'll do it in an hour. Sometimes it'll take like all day. And that thermostat would explain why it's intermittent if that thermostat is intermittently like shutting off the valves and not opening them up whenever they're supposed to and stuff like that. So I'm gonna wrap this up pretty quick because I'm starting to sweat. It's finally starting to warm up. It was 70 degrees when I started this video. It's probably up to like 80 now. But so yeah, we're replacing all those parts. The cutoff valves, the belt, water pump, and the thermostat. I think the part cost alone is probably going to be like $350. And they're probably going to charge me like 2 or 3 hours of labor at $100 an hour. So this is probably going to be another $600 bill. I hate throwing money at this damn thing. But I need it to work. Because it, how much is it costing me per day to run my truck? Let me think here. My truck burns between 1/2 gallon and 3/4 gallon per hour whenever it's idling. I don't know what the exact rate is, but let's do it on the low end of 1/2 gallon. And I think the APU burns about 1/4 gallon per hour. So it's an extra 1/4 gallon per hour. So I can tell you right now, this APU runs 24 hours a day. The entire time my truck is shut down, that APU is running because the air conditioner can't keep up with how hot it gets in the truck. So, and I'm also using it as a generator for power in the truck, and I've got a computer running and all that stuff. So the APU is just running constantly whenever my truck is shut down for the night. So during a normal 10-hour period, at 1/4 gallon per hour, was that 2.5 gallons in 10 hours? Is that right? You just moved the decimal over one, right? 2.5 times 10, or 0.25 times 10 would be 2.5, right? Just move the decimal over one. This is like 3rd grade math or something. Well, let me break out my calculator. It's gonna be hilarious if I'm wrong on that. Double check me. So 2.5 gallons every 10 hours. And that's like a very optimistic number. So that's like an extra, we'll say at $2 a gallon. So that's $2, $4 plus half, $5. An extra $5 every 10 hours. Is that right? So on times when I'm just sitting there all day long, like a 24-hour period, that'd be like an extra $10 plus 4 more hours. And a truck pulling in right now. 4 more hours would be another gallon. All right, I lost it right there. So that'd be $12, an extra $12 per day. So for a 24-hour period of this APU running, it cost me a minimum of an extra $12. And I think it's actually a lot higher than that, because I think this thing burns closer to 0.75 gallons per hour whenever the engine's running, which that would basically double what I just said. So it's between, for a 24-hour period of running this, it cost me between $12 and $24 extra, not total, but extra in fuel using the engine versus the APU. It cost me $12 to $24 extra per day. So you just sit back there and think about that week that I was shut down in Portland while I was waiting for an appointment and everything else to get my injector cups replaced, and then setting over the weekend waiting for a load and all that stuff. I was down for a week there. So an extra $24 a day, 24 times 7, that 1 week cost me an extra, I don't know, $160 in fuel, roughly, somewhere in that area. So it's cost me a lot of money in fuel. It's going to take me several months to recoup all the money that I put into the APU, because this is going to be about, I've had two $600 repairs plus a $100 repair So that's about $1,300 so far, and then I'm probably going to spend another $600 to $700 today. So it's going to be like $2,000 that I've spent so far on this fucking APU. It's going to take me a while to recoup that in fuel cost. But I need it working for many reasons. One of the big ones is just keeping my battery maintained while I'm at the house. It really sucks to have to go out and turn the truck on like every other day and let the truck idle for like 4 or 5 hours to make sure that the batteries don't die on me. It's really nice to just be able to sit in the house and the APU kicks on and charges the batteries whenever it needs to. So there's a lot of stuff like that, a lot of reasons I want the APU to be functional. So I hope this does it. I hope it's all good to go now. And I've only been here for like an hour and a half. I've only had like 15 minutes of interaction with their techs here, but this is my favorite APU repair place so far. Of APU Center, W&B, and this place. Of the three that I've been to, this is my favorite so far. W&B is my least favorite. They what really pissed me off with them was that they did not check with me before replacing parts and doing stuff. They just like kept me in the dark as to what was going on. And then I'm like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, oh, they're almost done. And then they, surprise, $600 bill for us to replace the damn gasket and a sensor. That really pissed me off. APU Center, they check with you after they do the diagnostic and tell you what they found. And then they give you a quote for how much it's going to cost to repair. That's the way a business should work. I'm really ticked off about W&B. Also, APU Center and this place both let you hang out in the work area. You can sit there and watch them, talk with the techs and stuff. Just a second. Let me pause this. Sorry, the receptionist came out here and looked down here at me and then shrugged her shoulders and went back in. And I went and asked her, I was like, everything all right? She's like, oh yeah, I was looking for somebody else. But yeah, my interaction here with them so far has been very positive. Basically, they didn't do the bullshit of like charging me for 4 fucking hours of diagnostics. We sat there and talked back and forth. They looked at a couple of things while I was sitting there talking with them, and we came up with a game plan. And now they're ordering parts and replacing parts, so we're all good to go. That's the way things should work. I really was frustrated with W&B. Like I don't even want to, like, I can make a whole video on W&B. I don't plan on like doing business with them again. I may be forced to at some point in the future, but I don't plan on it. I think I'm really glad that I'm so far happy with Big Rig products, because W&B and Big Rig are the only two places I get my APU worked. Well, there is one other place here in town, but that is so W&B is a carrier authorized dealer. This is just a generic APU. Big Rigs is just like a generic APU repair place. And there's another place that's an actual carrier dealer, not a carrier authorized dealer, but a carrier dealer. They charge $300 per hour. I am not letting them touch shit. W&B charges $140 per hour. And they sit there and take their sweet ass time doing everything. It pisses me off. But yeah, So far I'm happy with this place, and I hope I continue to stay happy with this place. But the plan so far is that I am going to stay at home for another week. It's Thursday of, I've been home since Sunday night at like 8 or 9 p.m. And I'm going to stay home for at least 2 weeks. I'm just really burnt out right now. Still got a ton of crap to get done. I still need to put the truck in for the cab realignment, and that's going to be an all-day thing where I basically drop the truck off in the morning and pick it back up in the afternoon. They told me to take at least 1 day. They said it could possibly take 2 days. So, not looking forward to that. I might try to put it in the shop tomorrow just to get it over with. I might have to give them a call today and see what their schedule's looking like. But they basically told me that they don't do appointments. They said I would just have to show up, like 7 o'clock in the morning whenever they open up. And I really don't like that, because like, what if I get there and they're already booked up for the day or something? But I guess that's what I'll have to do. But yeah, those are the things that I'm planning on getting done while I'm at home this time. And I think that's about it. Now, I can't think of anything else, but I normally don't do videos when I'm on home time, so this is a rarity, and I'm only making this video because I'm sitting at the shop, got nothing else to do. Whenever I put my shop in, or whenever I put the truck in the shop to do the cab realignment, I'm not going to be sitting there. I'm going to be sitting in my house all day, so I'm probably not going to do a video then. So don't expect another video while I'm for the next probably week and a half to 2 weeks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.